All right, everyone, welcome back into the Barely Bushy podcast. Today, I am joined by indie hip-hop artist Quiece Aziz. Quiece, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. So for those who don't know who you are, just tell us, who you are and what it is that you do.
So like you said, Quiece Aziz. Quiece Aziz.
My bad.
It's all good, bro. People do it all the time. So it's cool just to be able to, what I'm saying, tell them what's up. But Quiece Aziz, I'm an artist, from Wilmington, Delaware, and use art as a form to really reach people, connect with people, ministry. But yeah, man, that's what we do, man. We connecting with people and breaking down barriers. You know what I'm saying? Cutting right through people's hearts. You feel me with this music? So
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, for those of you, for people who don't know where they can find your music, where are the different places that they can find you? I know obviously on Spotify, but there are other places for those who may not have Spotify.
yeah, if you don't have Spotify, other digital platforms like iTunes, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon. You know what I'm saying, for my drawer users out there. You feel me?
Diversifying, getting it all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying SoundCloud. I still put stuff on SoundCloud. Let me see. I'm trying to think, and like until too, if you want some real personal hard copy, I do like have CDs. I ship them out, and yeah, all that good stuff. So
No, I did not know that. I didn't know that you were doing that, but no, I like that you're kind of keeping that old vibe alive of like obviously everything is moving to digital, but there are those people out there who still kind of want those hard copies of things. And plus, you can put them in a frame, hang them up, put them with
yeah,
these
I
many
find
copies
that
were sold.
people definitely appreciate them more as like, I guess, like antiques, or just like, even if like they're just like, yo, like I really want this because I know one day you're gonna be here. So just to have this physical copy, where while you're starting and everything like that and getting it rolling, like this is special. So
No
yeah.
doubt. So for you, sort of, how did you start into music? Like, where did that love of it come from, and how did you get to that point of like, oh, it isn't just something that I like to listen to, but it's something that I would love to get into and kind of write and record? Like, where did that journey kind of start for you?
Yeah, man. It was really crazy. Hold on. I think let me I want to hop on Instagram live with this real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
So like that love for music started with me 2017. I'm gonna take it back to 2017. Graduated high school, packed up my bags, went to Word of Life. I just wanted to learn more about God. I did no research on in school at all. Just packed my bags and went. And it was there. I was like, Lord, why am I here? I was going through a lot of different things, and it was just a lot of culture shock for me. So I felt really just like alone. And then my first time like hearing about God and being around a whole bunch of believers, I was like, why do I feel so alone? So I was spending time alone, and I'm like, Lord, okay, I feel like I want to leave. Why am I here though? Like I came here to learn more about you, really. Like that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay, Lord, like, why am I here though? Like, like, and all of a sudden, man, like I can never take credit for it. All of a sudden, I just started writing. I started writing my feelings. I started writing just very raw, like how I was feeling, because I'm like, I can't be the. I know this is a Christian college, and like, God, but I can't be the only one feeling these things. And I feel like I didn't have anybody to discuss these things to. So writing was a way of me kind of just. It felt like I was talking to somebody, and just letting it out. It was like therapy for me. And I was listening around that time, listening to artists like NF just really express themselves. And that's where it really, the love started. The writing turned into poetry, poetry turned into writing books. And then, in the dorm room with the guys, yo, Keys rap, like, you know what I'm saying? And guys
got
like
you.
Antoine, shouting to Antoine, man, yo, Keys, you need to be rapping. I'm like, nah, I ain't rapping. And he was like, come on. Like, so I took one of my poems, flowed out. It flowed out so natural, so natural. And I was like, hey, yo, let's go. And then I just had such a drive, like being a believer, but yet feeling so alone. I was like, I don't want nobody to ever feel like that. So that's really where it all started.
Yeah, and for context for people who may be listening who don't know, Word of Life is it's a Bible institute, but also kind of a worldwide ministry for people. There's different camps that they're all over the world. And so obviously, when Key says that he packed up and went there, they have their Bible Institute, which is in upstate New York, but there's also a location in Florida. I believe South Korea does have a campus as well. I could be wrong on that. So for those who wanted more context to what he's talking about, that's what he means. But yeah, like you said, I'm sure that you're not the only college student at a Christian camp or a Christian college that sort of felt that way. And so when you kind of did that for the first time and you were writing it down and then obviously, freestyling or reading it off and people were saying, "Oh, like you actually do have a gift and a talent for this that the Lord's blessed you with."
Yeah.
Was it something that after the first couple of times that you were kind of in the mindset of, "Oh, I could see myself doing this long term and this is something that I would
Mm.
love to do," or was it more of a, I'm doing it like these things are personal to me, but I'll share with a few friends, but I'm not sure where the journey is going to take. Or like I was saying, could you tell, nah, like after the first few runs, like this is something that the Lord is calling me to do?
Yeah. So man, it was crazy. I first started it, writing, being very vulnerable, poems and music. And I remember it's so funny. It was at the end of first year, so 2018. I just started rapping, and I still had that mindset, like I'm just doing it, for fun. But yet, like I realized how like I didn't even understand like why I felt so passionate about it, man. Which is why I feel like I can never take credit for it. Like I'm like, yo, this is something that God is really giving me. And I would get questions, being at Word of Life, like shout out to Brady, like being at Word of Life, in the
Yeah.
first year, Brady was heading out and like, are you gonna be like the next Brady and stuff like that?
Yeah,
um,
the
I,
next person to come through Word of Life and
right,
do
right.
music. For those who
And
don't
do
know,
music.
Brady James is another Word of Life student who also produced music, who's actually doing pretty well for himself. I mean, I wouldn't say that he's like big, but he's verified on Instagram, like he's putting music out, like he's
Yeah.
doing pretty well.
And they were just like, yeah, like you're gonna be like that next like campus rapper and stuff. And I was like, I'm just kind of like, doing this like for fun and stuff like that. But even though like I knew deep down inside, like this is something that like personally, man, like God literally gave me a dream, like that I was supposed to do this. Like long story short, like he at first he told me just what to do. But recently, these last couple of months, he's been showing me why he's giving me this gift, and it's been so powerful. But I would say that moment came for me after I graduated Word of Life in 2019. After that, like dropping tapes and stuff in 2018, taking it more serious. 2019, I graduated, and I'm like, you know what? After like what I experienced at Word of Life, I felt like just I have to make at least one album and put my all into one project. And I didn't even know why. I was just like, I have to, like, I have to do this. So after everything I experienced that Word of Life, being that rapper, on campus, sharing my heart with people, seeing the impact, like it didn't matter where we came from. We realized we all had something in common. And really it was that, we were all broken and all, learning more about Christ. But after I graduated, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And then after dropping my first album, it just it went off from there, at least as far as that like that local buzz and really connecting with people. And it became pretty obvious to me like more and more, yo, this is something that God is building, like it's not me. So
Yeah, yeah. And again, I guess just to add a little bit more context, because it's kind of my fault. I didn't introduce a lot of things, but for those who don't know, both Keith and I are we are believers and we have relationships with Christ. So that's kind of the context of when we say like the Lord is calling us to this, and we feel like God has given us these gifts and put these things in our heart. We're not just doing it as like the Hollywood take of, oh, like I got a dream or the Lord
mm,
randomly did something. Like this is like something that to us is like this is deep and this is a true thing that we believe in and that the Lord is calling us to do these things. And so that for the viewers out there who are listening, that's kind of where all of this talk is coming from. Because there are a lot of things like Keith was saying that, sometimes you just sit down and you just write, or maybe he's producing something and it's just like, man, if this was by myself, this is not at all what would be happening, but the Lord has
yeah,
allowed this to go on. And if I understand correctly, a lot of your music is pretty personal. Like these aren't just like, your rap songs about partying or girls or drugs. Like these are personal things to you, if I'm correct.
yeah. Yeah, it's just straight, like very personal. Just the journey, as I'm walking with Christ, like it's a beautiful thing. but it's like the process is not as pretty, I guess, as it can seem like. Like, you know, you see the songs and you see the performances and you hear about the revelation that God has shared with me. But like, I mean, man, like behind the scenes, taking walks at the park for hours, just me and God. Like nobody sees that. Nobody sees like when I have I have a girlfriend, and then I'm feeling so much conviction because I'm dealing with personal stuff and just thoughts that like, and just doing things I shouldn't be doing. I'm like, yo, Lord, like, what do I do about this? And I'm crying tears because it's like, well, in order for me to take this next step, I need to sit with God on some things and let Him really search my heart and let Him reveal things that I've shoved in my childhood, and let Him deal with it. So like stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? That pruning process, man, that really prepares us for our ministry and like our purpose. And I share that. So like I like to take people really like behind the scenes. You feel me? Because
Absolutely.
it's real.
Yeah, yeah. People don't fully understand or either grasp whether it's someone like you or maybe someone who's a bigger artist, kind of like a Lecrae or Flamer KB. Like there are different guys who have those stories, and you mentioned NF. Like we look at it and we're just like, oh, he just dropped another single or he dropped a whole album. Like that's great. Let me listen to it. But what people don't realize who maybe aren't as close to situations, like there may have been 5 to 10 years of pain or trauma or sitting or praying and crying and all these things culminated just to make 10 songs for a 50-minute album. And so we just
Mhm.
see the byproduct of that. But what a lot of people who aren't close to the situation understand is that there's a lot that goes in that. Like you were saying, it takes hours. Like you walk in the park, a lot of prayer. It could take you a month or two of praying, writing, crying, all these things to put out a 2.5 minute song,
Yeah.
which is like it's crazy to think. But like I just mentioned, how you brought his name up earlier, maybe it is NF or somebody else. But is there someone who you sort of model your music after, or maybe took inspiration from? I know that you said NF. Maybe it is solely him. Maybe there's other bits and pieces of different artists. But are there artists out there who you model your type of music after, and then pull inspiration from when it comes to kind of writing your lyrics, even though they are personal to you? But I'm sure that there
Yeah.
are inspirations out there.
One of my biggest inspirations for sure is Ty Brazzle. Off Ty Brazzle. Have you ever heard of Ty
Yeah,
Brazzle?
yeah. I actually a couple of his songs.
Yeah.
I forget which ones are on like my workout playlist. You guys got good music.
So Ty Brazzle, man, that is literally hands down one of my biggest influences in the game. Obviously, like, if we talk about influence, definitely like Drake. But when I started walking this path, like it was just tied like his journey as a man. You know, him going from young T, like, okay, I know I'm called to do music, but I'm going through depression. And then the next album is just like young T, I'm going through depression, I'm about to quit. Like, but I gotta keep going. Like, and then the next album is like, yo, now I'm destined for greatness. Like, and then he persevered, and then he overcomes, and he gets signed, and he drops his first studio album, and just see, and then he just dropped another album recent 2020 called The Divine Storm, and now he's like, I think he got some, I think he's with a girl now. And then but you could just hear the change every album in his life, and I'm like, yo, his journey as a man is like just influenced me so much. His flow is very genuine. Like he's such a genuine guy, and I hear it in his flow. Like I got his first album, not his first album, but Destined for Greatness. That's a trademark for me. Got me through school. I got it like really tatted on my arm, bro. Like that
I
was
did not know that.
yeah,
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 yeah. I see what you're saying. It's one of those things. People who now I'm not someone who's obviously in the music game. I still appreciate it and I listen to it, but I'm not in the game like you are. But
yeah.
even if you're just kind of a casual listener, it is cool that if you were to look at a guy like him and look at his albums and his music, it's almost somewhat like from the outside, you're taking the journey with him. Like you can hear the music. It's like, okay, he started off here where he was struggling this, and now he's growing and going, and he's got more albums. Like you were saying, it's
Yeah.
cool that as fans of music, you can kind of see those albums growing. And
Hmm.
so is that kind of like what you're doing? Because if I'm correct, you have, is it 3 albums that are out right now?
I would say really like is one album and an EP, and I had two
Okay.
tapes before that. Um, but yeah, you can see the same thing. Honestly, and it's so yeah. That's I'm headed towards the same thing, man. I had two tapes that I dropped. When I was up at Word of Life. Dropped one tape 2018 and 2019 called Stories to Tell. And you could tell it's very like you know, just starting to make music. Um it's very raw, very raw. And then Forgive Me If I Cry was like my first official album. And it's like this, it's very, I mean, literally the title speaks for itself, Forgive Me If I Cry. Like, damn, like I like Lord, you told me to make a album, but like I'm really going through it. Like my heart is heavy, and then I dropped the album thinking like, okay, once doors start opening up, I'm performing more, sharing that it was gonna make me, I guess, quote unquote, happier. I got all this stuff off my chest. I'm
Yeah.
good. And I actually ended up I'm performing more. I went to Virginia last summer. I'm doing all this stuff and I felt worse. I was like, hold on. Like, and then I made an EP called Prophetic Tears where like musically it got way better than Forgive Me If I Cried, but like the pain just you just felt more of it like lingering. And now I'm working on a project called The Final Cry. Like this season, like God has really been doing a lot of healing in my heart. Um Surrounding me with like people who are on the same mindset, got the same heartbeat. There's just a lot of healing. And seasons is changing, so I'm dropping this project called the Final Cry pretty soon. And then I know that after this, how I'm gonna attack music and what God is showing me, it's not gonna be the same after this. So we have Forgive Me If I Cry, Prophetic Tears, and now the Final Cry. And then
So
after this, like I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's about to be crazy. It's about to be crazy.
yeah, and the thing that I appreciate about that is I think it's gotten lighter and easier in today's world, but I still think that it is kind of seen as like not masculine to cry. And you're kind of taking that
Mm,
whole idea, crumb up and thrown away, and be like, not only am I gonna, completely go against that, I'm gonna make three different projects based around the idea of me crying because that is real and that is vulnerability. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people do need to hear that and understand that, like, we are guys, like, we're called in the word to be head of households and different things like that. Like, we're called to be leaders, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we should always be putting on that brave face and be like, nah, like we're good. Like, no, if you're not good, we all have different ways of releasing it, whether it's kind of going on walks or exercising or doing different things, reading. But for you, it's awesome that the Lord has been able to take that and really turn it into a passion and what I'm sure you're hoping to eventually be your career is taking that idea, but
yeah,
also, like you said, like tied. I'm really excited to see that you got the whole crying thing and the tears and the vulnerability, but that next step is, like you said, it's only going to get better and more wild. And who knows? I'm sure a lot of these bigger guys, it took them 4, 5, 6, 7, who knows how many years before they eventually got the deal or they got the tour they wanted. And so you've been in it since like 2018 was the first thing on your Spotify that was released.
yeah.
And so that's 4 years into it. And you never know. This could be something that the Lord is like, I need you to stay patient. Give me 5 more years and it'll happen. Or it could be, hey, this vinyl cry, once that drops, like someone's going to come find you. And it's just all really awesome to see how in the Lord's time and how he's using that talent for you and what he's given you to kind of move on into that next stage of your life. And so I'm really excited to see. And so you said that that is dropping somewhat soon. Does that mean like some point in the summer?
I would definitely, Lord willing, yeah, I wanna get it out in the summertime. And I got a lot of like I dropped Forgive Me If I Cry and Prophetic Tears, major projects, all in 2021, and only had one feature. This project is definitely collab heavy. Local artists all doing they thing right from Delaware. So you know, shout out Brene, shout out the Baptiste brothers, shout out Poetic L, Young Setter. It's crazy. Kind of just we moving into new seasons. You know what I'm saying? And not even necessarily me like, oh, I'm taking the city with me, but revival's coming to the city, man. Like God is definitely doing his thing, and it's about to get real out here. Um, so yeah, coming very soon. Coming very soon.
And is on your end the music? Is it something that you write, produce? edit? Is this all kind of you, or do you have people behind the scenes that help you do this when it comes to making this music?
As far as writing, that's all me. Just writing these songs. Um, engineering, like editing and engineering. Shout, bro! Big shout out to Caesar. That man is a monster. Like how my setup right now
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like is where I record at, and this man, like he plays no games. Like he will make anything just sound so good, so radio ready. His whole thing is like radio ready. You could record on a cell phone, send him your vocals, he's gonna get you right. So big shout out to him, man. He's been a big role in just everything that's been happening and making sure everything is up to par. And then producing as far as beat making and stuff like that. I'm still pulling a lot of my beats online, rather it's like beat stars, or if I see somebody on YouTube I like, I'll reach out to them and we work out leasing agreements and stuff like that. And I know on this project currently, um, I'm working with actual, instead of just internet producers, some people I actually know now, reaching out to them and putting them on. And shout out to Timmy Bone. You probably have heard of Timmy Bone, maybe.
I personally don't think I have. No.
Okay, I know he's a producer doing his thing up in Word of Life, Florida.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely a team thing for sure.
It's a collab, and like we've been talking about kind of throughout this episode, is it's just awesome to see whether or not, I don't know if all these people that you work with know the Lord or have a relationship, but just the way that God is able to put people in your life and use different talents. Like, maybe you're not the best at editing, but he produces this guy for you. Maybe you're not the best
Mm,
at beats, but then this guy is able to be part of your life. And on the flip side, like those guys that you were talking about, well, maybe they're so talented in the editing, but they're like, I wish that I could somehow use somebody's lyrics to kind of put over
mm,
top of this beat and collab. And it's awesome to see how Delore is able to use that. And you're about 4 or 5 years into the journey that, who knows, could be a lifetime thing. And kind of going off of that idea, is there, maybe there's one thing, maybe there's a few things, but what kind of has that motivation for you to kind of keep going? And obviously it's hard to get started, and when people start, whether it's a music career, even for me, like a small podcast or a YouTube channel, typically in those first few years you get very minimal views, no one really talks about it, it's not up there. So what
mm,
is kind of keeping you with that motivation to keep going and be like, Lord, I've dropped all of this, but no one's really listening outside of like family and
mm.
friends and local? Like, what's kind of keeping you going to be like, this is, whether or not it ever blows up, like, this is why I want to keep doing it?
I say the first thing I tell everybody, like, and I've been like, why do you do what you do? Like, that's the first thing that pops to my head. And I feel like it's such a core foundation to like what you were saying, like why start it. And then once you started going through that process and some like it's not all the time going to be convenient. You know what I'm saying? Like, forgive me if I cry, man. Just getting out of college, um, like talking about faith and music, like low key, I looked like an idiot. People was like, "What faith, music and
Especially
faith?"
today. Yeah, it is getting, I would say, even more and more difficult, to kind of be talking about faith in really any capacity, whether it's
Mm,
music, life, whatever you're doing. It's definitely not an easy thing to do.
yeah. I had a lot of people just tell me kind of snap back in reality type thing. But it was my why that kept me going, man. Like when I forgive me if I cry, I dropped like probably $4,000 into that John, bro. And like I didn't really have a bread for that, but it was like it was my why. You know what I'm saying? Like remembering when I was that kid on campus that didn't really feel like I had many friends, that didn't really connect with a lot of people. And hearing artists and how they like their music ministered to me, it kept me going. um or like this is for me, that my family and friends, you know what I'm saying, who don't know Christ, who gotta like see things that don't know him, and just like I'm like, all right, bet, like obviously it's not for that, but I know like the platform I've been given this gift, so like I know how crazy the platform of music can be and how amazing it can be. So just so that they would see really God's face in all of this from my friends, that they can see that God is real. and not even necessarily what I do, but like the transformation that's happening within, that's really transforming the music. For the people who I don't even know yet, who I haven't even met yet, that's why I gotta keep going, man. Like,
Yeah.
so I would say for anybody, like find out, sit and really have a why, you know, and also make sure you what you're doing, you passionate about. Because I know for me, music is the first thing that I actually stuck with. So like sports, I was good at that, but I wasn't passionate. So when it was time to grind out to go to that next level, guess what I was doing? I was stopping right there just because I wasn't passionate about it. When you passionate about something, that's what's going to push you to like want to keep going to that next level and stuff like that and persevere and stuff.
Yeah, like
Um,
you enjoyed the sports, but it was like this could only last 2 more years. And, is
yeah.
it really going to go anywhere? Can I use this for his ministry? If I can't, maybe I should back out. But yeah, it's the why is so key in everything that we do, and no matter what you do. And the hardest part for it, I'm sure, or at least one of the hardest parts, is you very easily could conform to the world and be like, you know what? Like when I start off making my music, let me just talk about the parties I want to go to and the girls I could get and like the drugs and the like. You very easily could do that, and in the worldly sense, that probably would, boost your music or get more views or do whatever, get a record deal earlier because those are the things that the world wants to hear. But your why is not motivated by the world loving you or the world wanting to bring you in. Your why is, Lord, how can I spread your gospel and your story? And, whether that takes 10 years of producing music before something comes up, I would rather do that. And speaking on your part, I'd rather do that than do 2 years of partying, drinking, and all this and get a record deal because that why is only going to be temporary and it's only going to leave you empty. I'm sure that as someone who was going through those things that you were at Word of Life, if you were just to sing about those things only leave people empty at the end of the day. And it's sad because we see so many musical artists who, you listen to their music and things like that, and those are the things that they talk about and they sing about, and they're no longer with us, before 30 years old because those things keep leaving them
mm,
empty. Whereas
oh my
when it
God.
comes to you, like, yeah, you're going to cry and you
Oh
have
my
these difficult
God.
things in life, but you're so filled with the Lord and the Holy Spirit that you have confidence that however long this is going to take, whatever it's doing, like, I'm here because the Lord has me here and he's using me for this. And like you were saying, you got to keep going because the Lord is giving you that extra motivation that a lot of people in today's world don't have.
Yeah, bro, that is like so good. I was literally just because I work in a school during the morning time and just talking about it to a student about that. He was like, "How did you feel when Juice World died?" And I was like, to be honest, like, yeah, like that joint's crazy. Like it's sad, but it's like when I first heard the music, I'm like, yo, like, and this is what we're pushing on the community and young people and stuff. But I'm like, when I first heard the music, I'm like, my man needs help. You know what I'm saying? But then you get to that place where you're getting millions of dollars to stay in that place. And I'm just like, damn, like we need people who are gonna, like you said, like like rise up, you know what I'm saying, and be that influence and stuff like that. Um, and going back to just like the why too, man, something that I thought of when you were speaking. If I know everybody got their different reasons, but I know for me personally, like I mentioned earlier, like God came to me in a dream and told me certain things, and he's still like showing me and revealing things as I walk. But if it's something literally that like God has revealed so plain to you, like stand on that. Regardless of what people say, regardless of what's going on around you, people pushing things on you or telling you go this way, you're going to, if God has specifically assigned you to something and told you to do something, stand on that. You know what I'm saying?
Truth.
Regardless of what the is looking, your circumstances looking like, the streams, the views. Like if anything that I've learned, a lot of times like music has been cool and it's been crazy and it's just the beginning. But it hasn't even really been about, I guess, quote unquote, in the world like success. But I've realized that through the music and God telling me to just rap, but I didn't understand why. The world would just tell me, like, I guess simply for like success and fame and money. But the Lord has really been revealing more and more of himself to me through music. And it's like that's been a tool for me to continue to grow like in Christ. And it's crazy. So I'm just like, regardless, like whatever your journey looks like, if God tells you to do something, you know that you know, don't back away from that. Don't shy away from that or try to do something else because people are stand on it. So
The funny thing too is that a lot of the times the thing that the Lord has you standing on or doing on is going to be the polar opposite of what the world wants you to stand on. He wants us
mm,
to stand on, purity and loving Him, being truthful and honest and staying away
sheesh.
from drunkenness. And the world is like, nah, go out and party, go out and sleep with whoever, go out and drink however much you want, which is why it makes it so much harder to do, especially on your end, so much harder to stay true to that because you
Mm,
really want to live for him and make the music for him. But there's always that little bit, and I'm sure that sometimes in tough days where it's like, if I did just, drop a project about partying and drinking,
wow,
maybe
wow,
that will be
wow.
the one thing that pops off. But then I'm sure that you have that conviction where the Lord is like, no, 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 like, here's the path that you have. But what you can't see ahead is that here's two different paths, and there's my path and the world's path. Maybe you can't see the end point, but I can. And the end point of that path is just utter destruction. The end point of my path, although it may be harder, is going to be the kingdom of God and spreading the news. And
Mm.
I'm sure that,
So,
at the end of your life, if your music, after everything that you do and everything that you have, if there's just one person in that listened to it in the
mm,
70, 80, 90 years of your life that you do music, then I would consider that a success. If there's one person that comes to know him and that
wow.
the Lord's able to gain one person, that's a success because that is you. Your ultimate job is to go out and, make disciples and lead people to Christ. And if one person hears one of your songs and is like, wow, it's incredible what this guy is being able to do, then that is the path that you want to go down. And so, like I've been saying, it is not easy, but the Lord has you on this path for some reason. We don't know why. And it's
Yeah.
exciting for you. And I'm sure that there are those days where you probably sit back and you're just like, man, like, Lord, what am I doing right now? Like, I'm just sitting here, like, I don't feel like there's anything coming to me because I'm sure it's not every single day that you wake up and you're like, oh, let's go. Like, I got I got 3 or 4 songs on the top of my head. I got this album idea. Like, there
Yeah.
probably are those tough days where you sit back and you're just kind of like, Lord, like, what on earth am I doing now?
Yeah, that's super real. I know, like, I think while working on "Forgive Me If I Cry," I definitely can relate to that a lot. It was so funny you said, like, Lord, even if this touches one person, like, it was worth it. That was honestly like the mindset and where my heart was at, even with that album. Like, before I released my first project, like, I'm just like, Lord, like, what am I, what am I doing right now? Like, thousands of dollars and stuff. And I remember just thinking, like, and just a lot of emotion too. When I was like, I came to that point where I was like, yo, if this touch one person, like, hey, I'm good. You feel me? Like, I'm straight. Um, but but yeah, like, man, that's good, man. Like, just it's really just having a humble heart and realizing that the bigger purpose to it all, like you said, to get his message out there. You know what I'm saying? To honor him, to lift him up, because that's what the people need. You know what I'm saying? So, music and everything is just like a tool for that. Rather I'm on the mic, rather I'm on the mic, rather I'm just in the schools or on the street. It The ultimate why, like, to reach people for the gospel, don't change,
Yeah,
no matter what I'm doing. So
exactly. Exactly.
that's
Whether,
that's good.
like you said, if you're singing a song or if you're driving through McDonald's and you see someone who's down, it's like, yo, like what's going on? And then that's the you never know the opportunities that the Lord
Yeah.
produced for you. And you know, you never know. Again, this is like a very, very like huge and out there idea, but in the world of music, you never know if you could connect to one of those bigger guys. And not saying that like down the road, the Lord's gonna have you talking to Drake and then you're gonna lead him to Christ. But
Yeah.
like you never know where the Lord could lead you. There could be different opportunities that music could bring you, and then the ultimate goal. And you look at it, it's kind of like, we're talking now, but if in the year 2032, you're talking to like these guys and leading them to Christ, and someone would look back and be like, wow, it took Keith 14, 15 years, but here he is talking to so and so, leading to Christ. And
Yeah.
it's so cool to be able to stay those paths. And it's not easy at all, but it's awesome what you're doing with keeping that music going. And to kind of, we don't, it's gotten very deep. We've talked a lot of great points and kind of got your journey, but we've talked about it a bit, but where do you see after the final tears,
The final cry.
final cry? After that, obviously you're going to keep it going and keep producing, but can we expect, a different vibe, different feel? Like what can listeners expect after that? Maybe you're not thinking that far ahead because you really want to do a great job in producing the final cry, but what is kind of the future have in store for people who want to listen, maybe people who are listening to this episode and then hop on the music and are like, man, I want more music from Keith now that I listen to his stuff. But
Yeah.
what kind of can we expect for the future from you?
So like honestly, man, like what you can expect first is excellence. Like after this, like I'm really moving into a season, man. Like I said before, God has been surrounding like men and like women that are not like super talented, but also got the same heartbeat. And it's so timely because I realized that moving into this next season, what God is about to do, not even just in the music, but in the communities and the stuff He's been showing me and revealing to me is going to require like the body. You know what I'm saying? I can't, it's not going to be like my just myself. Um so like you can expect excellence, man. Like everything after the final cry, everything we touching is like gold. People talk about like the Midas touch and everything. This is just
Yeah,
about to be, this is just pure anointing, like anointing. It is about to get real. So you can expect excellence. And I guess to kind of sum it up, man, I was with my boy Barry the other day, and he was saying like the future of music in general is not like everybody's wondering what's going to be the next sound. What's the future of music? And he said something that just it's like a revelation for me. He said it's not necessarily a new sound that's about to happen, but it's a heart posture. It's not a new sound that's about to take over but it's a heart posture. and
I like
and
that.
God is raising up people that are literally, and not even because of like how talented they are and how great they are, but just there's a heart posture, and God is raising up people that are about to be the forefront of this whole music thing. Like I'm telling you, so that's what you can expect, man. Like forget all this like, oh nah, like we believers take second class. Like nah, bro, we believers, we got the living spirit, and so we should be great, excellent at everything we do. We should be at the top of our game in everything we do. It ain't
No
no
doubt.
reason why we looked at as like a lot of times it's like sub genres and stuff like that. And I believe God is like it's about to get crazy, and we taking back territory. We taking back territory, communities, and everything for the kingdom. And God is going to use music as that tool. So get ready to hear some of the best music you've ever heard in your life. That's how I'm coming.
I love it. I love it. And after everything the Lord's done for us and, dying for us, raising again, like, how could you not be open and vocal about what he's done and how he's worked in your life? I mean, even everybody who knows the Lord has a story to tell. And I don't know how people can hear countless stories and still not believe. But again, that's why we're here, because if we weren't, then his story would never be told and we would never be able
Yeah,
to spread the gospel. And that's why we're here. And I'm excited for that. And one final question, just because I always ask this to people who are in some sort of business. Is there going to be any sort of merch, logo drop, anything that people can wear in the future to kind of support and, wear it around? And maybe I fly across the country somewhere in California or something like that, or down to Florida, and people are like, hey, like, what's that about? What's that logo? And then I can introduce them that. Like, is there going to be some sort of merch plan in the future? Or maybe there's one out now that I'm just not aware of?
yeah. So merch, man, I'm definitely working on that currently. With this project, The Final Cry. I will have some merch with The Final Cry written on it. And also kind of like put my pride aside, man. That's been the phrase. That's been definitely the theme and like thing that's been sticking with people. At shows, it's amazing, man. Like everybody singing like "Put My Pride Aside," and just it's it's
Love
it's
it.
it's real. So yeah, I will have merch soon that people will be able to buy. It will say "The Final Cry" on it. I'm gonna drop that, and then also some merch with "Put My Pride Aside" on there.
I'm excited, no doubt. Can't wait to see what the future holds. For those of you who are listening and never heard his music, it is literally everywhere that you find music. It's Quiece Aziz. I mean, just look up the name. You'll find it literally anywhere. You can't possibly not know that his music is out there. He's an indie hip hop artist. I'm telling you, listen to it. Even if it's not your vibe of music, just listen to the lyrics and know that like this is something that's coming from the heart and this is real, because not every type of music is for every type of person, but once you listen to it and get into it, you'll really know and give it a listen. And expect the final cry some point in the coming months. Look for that to drop and get the merch as well. I'm telling you, I want to thank Quiece Aziz again for joining me. Quiece, just thanks for coming on and kind of telling your story and kind of spreading, what you're doing and why you're doing it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that for real. Like I know, like it's so cool to have more of these opportunities just to share with people because the music, is one thing, but I feel like when you actually get to hear, the artist a little bit more in their heart and the personal and get behind the scenes, it definitely sheds more light and just helps you listen with a better ear. You know
For
what I'm
sure.
saying? So thank you.
And I'm excited for, down the road when you got the record deals and the tours and
Yeah,
all that. I can say, hey, listen, I did a podcast episode
tour.
with them back
I'm
then.
telling you, yo, tour, like the pieces is really lining up, man. Like is tour is coming. Tour is coming. I'm telling you, tour is coming. I would not be surprised by the end of 22 or the beginning of 2023. So remember this. It's coming.
That's soon. And before we hop off, what is just put it out there? What is your social media so people can follow you? You can kind of build that up and they can get those updates.
So you can follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, uh, and TikTok as well. Quiece Aziz. That is QUIECEAZIZ. If you just type that in on any social media platform, you'll be able to find me. Definitely follow. You know what I'm saying? I'll show love and follow back as well.
There you go. Well, everyone, go give him a follow. Go listen to music. Get hype about the tour. Get hype about the final cry. We're so thankful that Keith was able to give us his time and join us tonight and give us the story. And I'm excited for what the future holds. And we will see you next time. Thanks for giving Barely Bushy a listen. And if you haven't, like the show, subscribe to the show, get the updates and the drops. And like I said, we will see you next time.